This is why I love President Trump. They throw these ridiculous questions at him, and he just dissects them one by one. He knocks them all out, straight to the point. No talking points, no sitting there. He breaks every question down. And this is another reason why I investigated who he was in 2020 when they rigged the election against him. I left a Democratic plantation to see what this guy was really about. And every clip that I see, I love him even more because he's the one leading this country and he's showing us what should be done. Let's get right to the video, guys.
Immigration, 700 officers leaving Minneapolis. Did that come from you?
Yes, it did. But it didn't come from me because I just wanted to do it. We are waiting for them to release prisoners, give us the murderers that they're holding, and all of the bad people, drug dealers, all of the bad people. We allowed in our country, I say 25 million people with an open border policy for 4 years under Biden and that group, the auto pen group, I call them. We allowed to come into our country people the likes of which no country would accept. And we're getting them out. Yeah. But we've gotten a lot of them out. So crime now in Minnesota, crime now in Minneapolis is down. Crime in all cities is down. And you know why it's down? It's down because of us. It's down in Chicago by 25%, despite the fact that we are always dealing with these people, and they happen to be Democrats, that don't know anything about crime prevention.
Mr. President, speaking of Minneapolis, what did you learn?
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals. But look, I've called the people. I've called the governor. I've called the mayor, spoke to them, had great conversations with them. And then I see them ranting and raving out there, literally as though a call wasn't made. We've done a great job everywhere. The only place there's been a little inflammation has been really, it's not Minnesota, because we've done well with
Los Angeles, too. There's been others. Yeah.
Well, I saved Los Angeles. The top law enforcement officer, right at the beginning of my time when they were having riots, before me and it carried into me. If I didn't go in there with the National Guard, with troops, you wouldn't have the Olympics, which I got the Olympics. You wouldn't have the Olympics in Los Angeles. And he said, without the president sending in the troops, we would have lost Los Angeles. Yeah. And you know what? I saved Los Angeles. And we will do it again if we have to. And by the way, we're going to have a very safe Olympics, and we're going to have a very safe World Cup.
Speaking of Minneapolis, after the shooting of Renee Good, you said ICE made some mistakes. What were the mistakes?
Well, look, I'm not happy with the two incidents. It's not, it's both of them, not one or the other. He was not an angel, and she was not an angel. You look at some tapes from back, but still, I'm not happy with what happened there. Nobody could be happy, and ICE wasn't happy either. But I'm going to always be with our great people of law enforcement, ICE, police. We have to back them. If we don't back them, we don't have a country. If we don't back them, you're going to end up, look, Washington, D.C. was a very unsafe place to be. You couldn't walk to the White House. You couldn't walk to a restaurant. Restaurants were closing. I inherited not only a mess with the country, I inherited a horrible, very dangerous capital. Do you know Washington, D.C. is now an extremely safe place? You see what happened. You're here a lot.
When you mentioned Renee Good,
let me ask you, Tom. You're here a lot. Yeah. Would you have walked down the street a year and a half ago with your family? No. But today,
This guy's hostility is kind of obvious, and I was gonna hope that this one was gonna be different, but his hostility is so obvious. He's suppressing his answers to the questions. I've seen it so many times with NBC's Krista Welker, Caitlin Collins, Dana Bash. You see it all the time with these people that pretend to be journalists. They're activists. That's exactly what they are. Let's keep going, guys. I'm not going to pause this one as much. Be sure to catch me in the back end and like the video if you haven't already.
you can, and nothing's going to happen.
You mentioned Renee Good and Alex Peretti not being angels. Do you think any of that justified what happened to them, though?
No, I don't. It should have not happened. It was a very sad, to me, it was a very sad incident, two incidents. And, they mentioned the one now, they don't mention the other. Well, I think they were both sad. And you know who feels worse about it than anybody? The people of ICE. They're strong, tough people, and they have to be tough because we're dealing with hardened criminals. Right. We're dealing with people. Jails have been emptied into our country from all over the world, from Venezuela, where we had great success, you will admit, but from Venezuela, from the Congo in Africa, from all over the world. Jails, the jail population was emptied into our country. If we don't have strong people, you're not getting them out, and we're getting them out. Remember this, again, I say it again and again, we have record low crime in the United States. Nobody's been able to say that for 125 years.
So I want to be clear, because it sounds like there is a shift in immigration enforcement here, that there's going to be a shift after Minneapolis. What should Americans expect going forward?
Well, one thing I say to my people, you know, we do a good job, we don't get credit for it. I say they have to ask and they have to say please. When a city is
Who
going
has to ask and who has to say
the mayor
please?
or the governor, I don't want to go and force ourselves into a city, even if their numbers are terrible. Like, for instance, I got a call from Jeff Landry, governor of Louisiana. He said, we have a big problem. Could you go in and help us with well, let's see, certain sections. I mean, to be honest with you, certain sections of the state, beyond their famous, beautiful city, certain sections of the state. We have done, not only in New Orleans, we've done a really great job in Louisiana, but I was called. I want to be called. Chicago, we could solve the Chicago crime.
Well, on that question, which cities are you headed to next?
We have 5 cities that we're looking at very strongly, but we want to be invited. We will sometimes call the governors. And
Are
say,
they cities like Chicago, Philadelphia? Are these the cities?
We could straighten out the crime in Chicago. We've already brought it down 25% just by being there. We could have Chicago be a safe city, just like D.C. is a safe city, just like all of these places that we've gone to. And I look forward. You know, I didn't campaign on that. I campaigned on law and order, but I didn't think I'd be going into individual cities and making them safe.
Anything else you can tell us about the 5 cities? The 5 cities, anything else? So Americans are ready?
We'll be announcing them very quickly, but we could do something. As an example, I was called by people. San Francisco said, please, we have a Democrat mayor. He's trying very hard. Would you, friends of mine that live there, it's got crime problems. Would you let him do the job and not come in? Let's see how it works. I said, look, I can do it much quicker, much faster. Don't forget, we remove criminals. We took over 2,000 hardcore criminals out of Washington, D.C. If we didn't do that, 2% of the people create 90% of the crime. Think of that, 2%. So you have a criminal, because it's over and over again, 2% create 90% of the crime. We took out 2,000 people, more than 2,000 people out of Washington, D.C., and we now have a safe city.
As I mentioned, you've had success on immigration. Illegal border crossings are at historic lows, right?
You know, it's so nice that you said that.
But if you look at
Tom, what you just said.
It's true.
No, but it's so nice. I hope you air it. It's so nice what you said, because that's called good reporting. That's called fair reporting. Now give me the second part.
Now let me give you the second part of the question. But if you look at the polls, most Americans say they don't like how you've handled immigration, right? Especially what's happened in Minneapolis. How do you?
I think people enjoy how he's handled it, right? Trump, this is why I say Trump 2028. Not just because go vote Trump. No, because Trump has become a symbol of hope, you know, a symbol of strength. That finally we could see something being done. Finally, we could see something being done with these dire times that we live in. You know, every day, grocery store, you go, you gotta go spend $200, $300. You gotta fill your gas up. Gas is skyrocket. You know, people are starting to not trust their neighbors. It's these times where you have to really look at the person that really cares about the true patients in this country and that wants to put you first. That's what you got to worry about. That's why I'm gonna say Trump 2028. Get mad at me. Let's keep going, guys.
Change their minds.
Well, I don't believe the polls, for one thing, because how can you not I saw a poll in the border where I'm at 55%, okay?
The polls show that Americans aren't against the deportations. It's the handling of immigration.
You know, polls, it depends on the way you ask the question. I saw a poll in the border, I'm at 55%. Well, how can I only be at 55% when everybody agrees that the border is totally, beautifully closed and nobody's coming in unless they come in legally, et cetera. It couldn't be better. I should be at 100%. I don't believe the polls. And some polls, I mean, I could show you polls where I'm polling at 69% popularity, and some polls where I have one at
we'll ask the White House to share that with us. Yeah.
71%. And then I have polls where I'm at 44% and 42%. the polls are almost dishonest, almost as dishonest as some of the reporters themselves.
Yeah.
But I'm getting very good polls. I'm getting very good polls on crime prevention, on law and order, and on the border. I have to. And I'm starting to get great polls on the economy, which I think is
the polls on the economy they're not great.
They should be great.
They should be. So why aren't they? If you believe that,
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look, I've got
Americans tell us. We hear this. I mean, we're going to get into the economy later, but I mean, they tell us they don't feel it.
Just so you understand.
Yeah.
I have $18 trillion being invested into the country. Biden had less than $1 trillion for 4 years, and the whole country was going to credit. Do you know
when does America feel it?
Do you know that if they won that election, and we won in a landslide, do you know if they won that election, this country was, I think it was finished. I actually think it was finished. You would have had people, instead of 18 coming in, 18 trillion, you would have had $10 trillion leaving. I think our country, I think we would have been Venezuela on steroids.
I have a question about immigration still looking forward now. Your goal during the election was to deport everyone who came here illegally under President Biden. Is your mission now to deport everyone who came in illegally or just people who have come in illegally who have also committed additional crimes?
We are totally focused on criminals, really bad criminals. Now, you could say people that came in illegally are criminals, but I'm talking about murderers from different countries. We have 11,888 murderers that Biden and his group led into our country. We've captured a lot of them. We've brought some of them back. A lot of them we don't want to bring back because we don't trust the country that they're not sent back again.
Yeah.
Despite how strong the borders are, they'll figure a way to try and get in, and we don't want to, and we'll incarcerate them. But 11,888 murders.
Yeah.
We are after those people. We're after the drug dealers.
Right.
We are after, by the way, a big problem. They allowed to come into our country people from their mental institutions, people from insane asylums that are mentally ill and very dangerous. We're getting them out.
Joe Rogan, who was one of your biggest endorsers in 2024, he said he understands that the president's sort of plan to deport people here who are here illegally, but he also understands why critics compare ICE officers to the Gestapo asking people for their papers. What's your response to him?
Well, look, first of all, he's a great guy. We had a tremendous success before the election. I think it was his biggest interview ever, and over 300 million people. It was very good. She didn't want to do it, you know. She decided not to do it because she's not capable. But I spoke to him 3 days ago. We had a great conversation. And all I'm doing, I have to keep.
Did he mention this to you? Did you guys talk about this, the ICE enforcement?
Yeah. Just had a good conversation. I think he's a great guy, and I think he likes me too.
Yeah.
And, you know, liking me isn't important. What happens is that I think we do a phenomenal job, but I don't think we're good at public relations.
What does that mean? You've said that a couple times now. What do you mean by that?
We don't sell the great job that we're doing. Look, we have the safest country.
Is that your staff? Are those your staffers?
Excuse me, people from your persuasion, somewhat left, to a job on numbers. It just came out that in 125 years, we have the safest country. The best crime numbers since the year 1900.
Yeah. That's a stat. Yeah, we know
that
it's true.
Way before my father was born.
Right.
Think of that. And yet, then you talk about crime, or you talk about this, or you talk about that, and the poll numbers aren't that good. People, we don't do a good public relations job. That's why I'm doing the interview with you today.
We appreciate
I'm trying to help my people. You know, PR, public relations.
Speaking of your people, you're never afraid to shake up your team. You've said that you're okay with shaking up your team. Do you still believe in Kristi Noem to deliver on your vision of immigration?
Look, she was in charge of the border. The border's closed. I mean, everybody gives me A+ on the border. The border was a disaster. People were pouring into our country.
But what about the enforcement?
They don't even try and come up now. You know the beautiful thing? The caravans. I think I came up with that name. Thousands of people, 25, 30,000 people in a group. You know who sent them? Their countries. They sent the people that they didn't want. Not only criminals, people that didn't want to work hard, etc. They know who it is. They sent them into our country. We have nobody coming in anymore. We have very good. You just asked me, Kristi, we have the best crime numbers that we've had in 125 years. I think she's doing a very good job. Again, public relations. She's not getting credit for the job that she does.
Let's move to the economy now.
And excuse me, what is sad, though, and
keep going.
We had the two incidents, the two primary incidents in Minnesota. So,
And you shook up leadership there. You brought Tom Homan in.
yeah, I did. And Tom is great. Tom,
And is that not weird to you guys that Tim Walz, I would say this. I would say this. It's probably not true. I gotta say that for YouTube policy, but I would say this. Tim Walz sounds like he's kind of inciting violence there, the same as Ilhan Omar, and then you have shootings there. ICE is not only in in Minnesota, Minneapolis, what do we call it? They're not only there. They're also here. They're right up the road from me. They just did some stuff here. They're in Chicago. They're Washington. They're in a lot of places, but you don't see that happening to the extreme that it happened there. I think they're inciting violence, and they should be charged for it. Let's keep going, guys.
Tom is a superstar. But um, you do thousands of arrests. You arrest thousands of rapists. You arrest thousands of the worst people. You arrest the drug dealers. I mean, we had drug kingpins. We had murderers. Thousands. No incident. We bring them back to their country. Two people. It's bad. I hate it. I hate even talking about it. Two people out of tens of thousands, okay? And you get bad publicity. Nobody talks about all of the murderers that were taken out of our country. They don't talk about...
but it was two Americans.
They don't talk
who died,
about we have the smallest trucks. As an example, we've been very tough on the waters, and soon, pretty much overall. But if you look at the waters where we knock out boats, each boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. We're doing a job like nobody's ever seen before. I just got off the phone with President Xi, and he is amazed at how well the United States is doing. He said he's never seen anything like it.
You brought the conversation, Mr. President, so let me ask you, what did you talk about with the leader of China?
About a lot of topics. We talked
What's
about
the most important topic? Is it chips? Is it the wars in Ukraine? What is going on?
I would say the economy, the relationship that we have with China. I'm going to be going there in April. Then he's coming here toward the end of the year.
Coming to the White House?
He's coming to the White House, toward the end of the year. We have a very good relationship. And, it's important that I have a good relationship, and for him that he has a good relationship with me. We have to have a good... These are the two most powerful countries in the world, and we have a very good relationship.
You talk about tariffs?
We spoke for an hour.
Does he ask you about the tariffs? Is he saying this is hurting us?
Well, they're paying a lot of tariffs, as you know. China's paying a lot of tariffs. In the past, they didn't. I'm the one that put tariffs on China. I put tariffs on a lot of... Tariffs are, just so you understand, making our country rich. Our country has taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, really trillions, because the threat of tariffs is getting all of these countries to lose to us. And by the way, they've been doing it to us for 40 years. And now, but I'm doing it very judiciously, very fairly. But tariffs are bringing in tremendous amounts of money. I just gave $12 billion to our farmers because they were mistreated by certain countries. Tariff money. We're taking in hundreds of billions.
No, and I want to ask you about that. I want to get into that. Talking about the economy, you've brought a lot of prices down, as we said.
Did you guys notice he sat there and said, I don't want to talk about that. Once Trump starts talking about his solutions and how he fixed the problem and he goes in depth for an answer, this guy sits there and he says, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the economy and he just wants to control this interview. He doesn't really want to interview this guy. It's kind of an interrogation. We've seen it plenty of times, guys. I know you guys have seen this plenty of times, the way these guys ask these questions and how they go about how they ask these questions. You know, they go about them in such a way that I don't understand. These people on the left can sit there and act like they don't see what's going on. They don't see what's going on. I'm telling you, this stuff, we're tired. The people. I know you probably viewing this video. If you don't know me, if you're probably viewing this video, you're tired too. You're tired of going spending all this money on groceries. You're tired of going home, turning the TV on, turning YouTube on, and you're seeing this guy sit there and interrogate the only person that can fix this problem. And if you think otherwise, do your research. I had to do my research too. I used to be on the same Democratic plantation that you were on. I used to be that same person that always fighting with the other guy, always acting victim mindset. I used to always be that person. Until I had to look in the mirror one day and I realized, dude, I gotta search some stuff up, and I'm not the victim in a lot of these situations. There's stuff that I could have did differently. I'm telling you, man. Once you realize that, you will be free. I'm not trying to go on a long rant, guys. Let's keep going.
Some are still stubborn.
Very few.
But when you, very few. I get it. Very few. When you talk to Americans, though, Do you have to get them to understand that
do.
the prices are not going to come back down to your first term because we had a pandemic and we had record inflation? Are people's expectations too high, or is it just too expensive to live in America?
I just, again, don't think we're selling it properly. We've done a great job.
But it's expensive out there.
You saw gasoline this last week at $1.99 a gallon.
You see how he asked that question? He sat there. Listen,
Or is it just too expensive to live in America?
I just think
is it too expensive to live in, or is it just too expensive to live in America? He tried to make the question sound like a just a piece of cake, and then he just said, or is it just too expensive to live in America? Like, is it your fault? Is there something you could fix? You know, have you screwed the country this bad? Is it just too expensive to live in America? I'm telling you guys, I see right through these BS people.
Again,
I
don't
see
think we're
right through 'em.
selling it properly. We've done a great job.
But it's expensive out there.
You saw gasoline
It's
this
expensive
last
out
week
there.
at $1.99 a gallon. It used to be, it was $4.50, $5 a gallon. $1.99 a gallon gasoline. I think we've really bring it. I mean, I don't expect them to be much higher. Now, there's a natural inflation.
But they're never going to go
this.
down to that first term.
I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. It was through the roof. Now, you will say it wasn't in history, it was 48 years. You know, there's a theory that was, I say it was the worst. But whether it's 48 years, I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country, and now we have almost no inflation. Think of it. You know what it was for the last 3 months? 1.2%. You know what it was under Biden? You can't count that high. I inherited the worst inflation. I inherited the worst crime. I inherited high prices. So when I inherited
Inflation is
all
down
of those
2.7 right now, but it is down.
No. For the last three, don't forget, I inherited this mess. For the last 3 months, it's at 1.2%. You know that.
But the last,
Last 3 months.
You floated the idea of 2,000.
This guy obviously doesn't want to hear it. Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. Pay attention to him the whole entire interview. Every time Trump answers a question, he either immediately changes the subject or he goes, okay, yep. Tries to peep the notes, you know, the script they gave him, you know, the narrative that they want you to believe. It just goes right back to the notes every time. I don't get it, guys. Let's keep going, man. I'm telling you, I really don't get this.
$1 rebate checks for Americans from tariff revenue. Who's going to get that, and when is that going to happen?
We'd make it. I'm looking at it very seriously. I'm the only one can do it because I'm taking in hundreds of billions of dollars of money.
But you can promise some Americans will get those checks?
Oh yeah, sure. I can do that. I haven't made the commitment yet, but I may make the commitment.
So it's not a done deal.
Well, I just gave 1776, right? To the military. Right? $1,776.
But you said all
You know, it's
Americans.
$1,775. They presented it to me because that's what we have in a budget that I created because I want to take care of our military. Nobody takes care of the military like I do. So $1,775. And I said, wait a minute, if you had $1, it's $1,776. You know that's quite a famous date,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So anyway, so I gave $1,776 to our military, and they are very thankful.
Let's get to the Fed.
And now I may be doing that with regard to the entire population.
Okay. Let's get to the Fed. Is there any doubt in your mind that interest rates are going to be lowered?
That's another reason right there why I mess with Trump. Because my mom always says this. I'll say this. My mom always says, never, I think it goes, never let your left hand know what your right hand doing, or never let your right hand know what your left hand's doing. You know, even when it comes to military, you never know what this guy's up to. And then he just blesses you and surprises you with something crazy. We've seen it plenty of times. I'm sorry to keep pausing the video, man, but this is a juicy interview.
Not much.
Why? How can you say that?
I just think they're going to be lowered. I mean, they should.
Is your new Fed pick on board with that?
We're way high. Okay, we're way high in interest. We have now, with me and with all the money, I've always been good at money. And with all the money coming into our country, we're a rich country again. We have debt, but we also have growth. And the growth will soon make the debt look very small. Because it's the greatest way, you have two ways. You can cut, and we do that anyway, and we did that. You know, we got rid of hundreds of thousands of federal workers. And those workers went out and got themselves jobs in the free enterprise system. And you know what? That's called making America great again. We had 10 workers in the federal government for every single job. When the Democrats go in, they hire. I could right now give you the best employment numbers in history. You know what I do? Go out and hire 2 million people, put them in the federal government.
Does your new Fed pick...
I do the opposite.
Yeah. Does your new Fed pick understand that you want him to lower interest rates?
Oh, I think he does, but I think he wants to anyway. I mean, if he came in and said, I want to raise them, We
If he
should
said
have,
that, he wouldn't have gotten the job.
he would not have gotten the job. No, no.
Do
If
you
I
believe-
thought he was a interest rate, now there'll be times if I see inflation on the horizon, but we don't have that. We have low inflation. Remember, 1.2% inflation in the last 3 months. We have low inflation and we have tremendous growth. You haven't had these numbers like this. We have, think of it, low inflation, great growth. All I have to do is one thing, easy, get down the interest rate.
Do you think the Fed chair answers to you or is an independent body?
Well, I mean, in theory, it's an independent body, but I think, I'm a smart guy. I know the economy better than almost everybody.
So he answers to you.
They did that prediction chart a year ago, and they had 71 great economists and me making the predictions. And, only 2 people were right, me and one other guy who is a very smart professor from a certain school that I went to. Very good school. And the 2 of us were right. Everybody else was wrong.
There's been bipartisan suggestions that the criminal investigation to the current Fed chair, Jerome Powell, is payback, right? For not lowering interest rates, but also for when he was in that sort of news conference with you with the hard hats and he was shaking his head and showing you the papers and disagreeing with you in public. Is that why he's under criminal investigation?
He was very respectful to me. He wasn't he was explaining to me. I'm asking him, why are you spending almost $4 billion on a very small little complex of buildings? It's the highest price per square foot. He's renovating buildings for $3 to $4 billion. And this Fed chair that I have I think he's going to be great. He might not have a home because this guy has spent so much money. And I looked, it's a see-through. There's nothing inside. They are spending money. He's in charge of the project. This is the Federal Reserve building I'm talking about. It's a very small little, it's actually a couple of little buildings. They're spending more money than any building ever built in history per square foot.
Some Republican senators say they're not going to approve him unless you drop that investigation.
A lot of people say a lot of things.
You don't think that's true? You think,
I don't know.
Is it worth it to drop the investigation to get your Fed chair through?
I think the investigation is the investigation. It's being handled by Pam and Janine and the people. They'll make their own decision on it.
Let's talk about AI. Have you ever used...
But I do say this about... You can't let a man spend billions of dollars doing a bill. I would have done that job for $25 million, and it would have been done much better. They're spending billions of dollars on a renovation of a little complex.
Let's talk about AI. Have you ever used ChatGPT or Claude?
I haven't really, but I know all about it. Let me just talk about AI. AI is a big deal. AI is going to be maybe the biggest thing, bigger than the internet, bigger than anything else. We are leading China by a lot. We are leading everybody by a lot. They're all building their factories here. And you know what I did for the electric? Because they need twice the electric as we currently produce for the whole country, which is crazy. Nobody can do that. But so what I did is I came up with a concept. Each building that is built is going to generate their own electricity. They're going to build their own electric plant. We are building numbers of AI. And by the way, also auto plants, everything. We're building everything. But do you know, I just left Michigan. I was with Ford. They were going to close this building that was built in the early 1900s, one of the biggest factories. They were going to close it. It was scheduled to close prior to my election. After I won the election, they said, let's try keeping it open. They just went to 3 shifts. It's 24 hours a day. And the head of Ford, Mr. Ford, said it's the most incredible auto comeback I've ever seen.
Mr. President, let me ask you, there's no doubt you are the president who's ushering in the AI revolution, but this is happening on your watch. If AI affects humanity in a negative way, is that on you? Because some of these CEOs of AI companies say, we need guardrails. This could get out of control. Does that worry you?
Everything's on me as president. Everything's on me. I can say this, it'll be the greatest jobs producer. It'll be the greatest military producer. It'll be the greatest medical producer. There'll be tremendous good. And there'll be probably some bad, too.
Well, it's killing a lot of jobs. And what do you say to Americans who are going to lose their jobs to AI?
It's going to create a lot of jobs.
But right now, it's taking jobs in a lot of ways. It's taking jobs at companies like Amazon. What would you say to those Americans?
But it hasn't really started. These major plants haven't even been built. What you're going to
but Mr. President, AI has already started to take jobs because the technology is there.
So we have, it's just announced, more jobs right now occupied in the United States of America than at any time during its existence, 250 years. There are more people working today than at any time in the history of our country. Pretty good stat. That kills that question.
Yeah, we have to look it up.
That's a good answer. That kills that question.
Mr. President, there's widespread concern that AI is going to wipe out a lot of jobs, manufacturing jobs.
They said the internet was going to do everything was going to do. Robots are going to kill jobs. Everything's going to kill jobs. And you end up, if you're smart, doing great.
Okay, you are close with the Ellisons, who are trying to stop a merger between Warner Brothers, Discovery, and Netflix. This deal could change the makeup of the media as we know it. Are you personally going to get involved in that deal?
I haven't been involved. I must say, I guess I'm considered to be a very strong president. I've been called by both sides. It's the two sides. But I've decided I shouldn't be involved. The Justice Department will handle it.
Okay. In what way? Just looking at it to see if it's
regular?
regular?
Make a decision. I mean, there's a theory that one of the companies is too big and it shouldn't be allowed to do it, and the other company is saying something else about, they're knocking.
But you're not going to interfere, even though you're close with the Ellisons.
They're beating the hell out of each other, and there'll be a winner.
Okay, let's talk about the midterms. You've recently suggested nationalizing elections. What do you mean by that?
And I didn't say national. I said there are some areas in our country that are extremely corrupt. They have very corrupt elections. Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at Philadelphia. Take a look at Atlanta. There are some areas that are unbelievably corrupt. I could give you plenty more, too. I say that we cannot have corrupt elections. If we have to, if they don't straighten it out. As an example, voter ID. Why don't the Democrats want voter ID? You know who does want voter ID? Democrat voters want it, but Democrat politicians don't. Why don't they want it? Because they want to cheat on elections. Can you imagine if I were a politician and they asked me, do you want voter identification? And I said, no, there's no way you could win that debate. But the Democrats don't want voter ID. If they don't want voter ID, that means they want to cheat. We can't allow cheating in elections. Now,
All you guys at home, you know exactly why they don't want voter ID. They open up the borders, they let God knows who come in here. And then they say, go vote. And then they also get the chance to make up random people and say Kamala has 100 million votes. Let's just say 100 million. Kamala has 100 million votes. See, these people want Kamala. That's exactly what is going on. Then they use AI or they use whatever they want to make all these bots online to sit there and argue with me in my comment section, my buddy's comment section, anybody that does YouTube comment section, and make you think, wait a minute, these Democrats really got a fan base. And wait a minute, they do. There's some people on that side that really believe some of that junk and that really have that ideology, but that's what they're doing. That's why they don't want voter ID. The voter ID thing goes so deep because if there was, these people on this side that really believe some of that stuff, and you're like, okay, cool, she has 30 million votes. But once you add extra 70 million votes on top of that, you don't have to check it just because you don't really need an ID. No voter ID, then you're like, wait a minute. What's going on here? And that's exactly what Trump did, guys. Let's keep going, man.
We need to put in federal controls as opposed to state controls. Remember this, they're really an agent. They're really accumulating the votes for who wins an election. If they can't do it honestly and it can't be done properly and timely, then something else has to happen.
Will you trust the results of the midterms if Republicans lose control of Congress?
I will, if the elections are honest. Look, I want the last one that wants to complain. I just had a great election. They say one of the greatest elections, you will agree, ever. Won all 7 swing states. Won 84% of the counties in America. That's why the map is all red. We just had a great election. We'll agree.
I almost cuss. Listen to this. Just listen to these stats. These are like Wilt Chamberlain numbers right here.
Ever. Won all 7 swing states. Won 84% of the counties in America. That's why the map is all red. We just had the greatest elections.
Listen.
You will agree. Ever. Won all 7 swing states. Won 84% of the counties in America. That's why the map is all red. We just had a great election. I believe there was cheating. I think there was cheating.
Well, speaking of counties, what are you doing in Fulton County?
It was too big to rig.
Speaking of counties, what is happening in Fulton County?
I'm not doing anything, but the FBI went in because it's been under I guess, review for years. The cheating that took place in Fulton County and in that particular
nobody knows what's in the warrant. What are they looking for?
Out. Look, why would anybody be upset that they went in and they got the ballots, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Again, they did this. That's been under review and under investigation for 4 years. And now they got a court order. You know, they got a court order signed by
but nobody knows what
a
the evidence
respected but
for.
liberal judge signed a court order allowing them to go and pick them up. Well, you're going to know what the ballots say because they're right now inspecting the ballot. I'm not involved in it, but they are inspecting and checking the ballot.
Why is Tulsi Gabbard there?
I don't know, but you know, a lot of the cheating comes from it's international cheating. You have people, they say, from China trying to.
You put this on
let me ask
Truth
you, do
Social.
you think China tries to influence our election?
We know that foreign governments try to influence a lot of things in this country.
Therefore,
But
she's foreign government.
But she's tweeted out some theories about Italians and satellites. I mean, do you believe that stuff?
No, I didn't cheat. I sometimes will read truth.
Yeah.
I'll read truth.
Okay.
But let me ask you this. If China or any of these countries are involved in our elections, that would bring her into it. And everybody knows that Russia, they talked about Russia, it turned out to be a hoax. It was Hunter Biden. It wasn't Russia. Look, we have to have honest elections.
Yeah.
There should be nothing wrong with the fact that they went in, got ballots from a while ago, and they're going to look at them. And now they're going to find out the true winner of that state.
Yeah.
And you know what? If there was cheating, which there was, but if there was cheating, it should be found because we can't let it happen again.
Mr. President, I have a few more important questions for you, if that's okay with you. Yeah?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, they've all been important.
Let's go to, there's a new lawsuit by you and your family that you're suing the IRS for $10.5 billion for leaking your tax documents. Yeah. Is this a good use of taxpayer money?
You can't leak documents. And any money that I win, I'll give it to charity, 100% to charities. Charities that will be approved by government or whatever. I have another lawsuit with the United States. I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago.
But that's taxpayer money. It's going to get taken out of the system. I know it's going to charity, you're going to say.
And I've won that case.
Did you hear that? He just said, I know it's going to charity. You're going to say.
I have another lawsuit with the United States. I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago.
But that's taxpayer money. It's going to get taken out of the system. I know it's going to charity, you're going to say.
You're going to say, so he's sitting there already trying to call him a liar. This guy likes to sit there. But I'm sorry to keep saying my mom's quotes, but my mom always say, don't throw a rock and then hide your fist and just try to hide. You know, that's exactly what this guy's done. He's a coward, and he's a coward doing this interview, reading off a script, trying to promote a narrative.
Government or whatever. I have another lawsuit with the United States. I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago.
But that's taxpayer money. It's going to get taken out of the system. I know it's going to charity, you're going to say.
And I've won that case. I mean, they broke in, the FBI illegally, Biden and his group. It wasn't Biden. He didn't know what he was doing.
His group.
It was a group of very smart radical left people. They're very smart. They've lost their way.
Right.
And they broke into Mar-a-Lago. They broke into my home. They went through
they had warrants.
My wife's drawers. Yeah. They went through, that's a double meaning. They went through Barron's, my son's, everything. They went through the whole house. Hundreds of people. They went in with guns. They went in, guns.
How would
would
this
have been
work?
ablazing.
So how would this work?
Wait. I brought a lawsuit. Essentially, the lawsuit's been won. I guess I won a lot of money.
How would this work, though? Scott Bessent's the head of the IRS. Pam Boondi's the head of the Justice Department. They're going to defend the IRS against you. You're their boss.
Well, there's never been anything like it, in all fairness.
So are you going to tell them to pay you?
Don't forget, I sued as a private citizen because I sued between terms. I won 3 times. I won 3 times, but I didn't.
You can't sit there. If you're watching this video, you can't sit there and tell no one this dude Trump is stupid. He said, I sat there. I sued as a private citizen. Because I did it between terms. This guy is always one step ahead. You think you got him. You think you got him, man. Every time he just swivels right through these questions.
Unfortunately for this country, I didn't assume office the second day. But here's the story. I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago. That was before I became president. Now it goes along, and it turned out that the suit is a very strong suit.
You're going to tell them to pay you, though? Because you're the boss.
Well, what I would do, tell them to pay me, but I'll give 100% of the money to charity. I don't want any of the money.
You take it out of the system. A couple more questions here.
No, I'm putting it back into the system.
Yeah.
If I give money to American Cancer Society, I will give 100% of the money away to charity. I don't want any of it.
$30 trillion debt, and we're going to take $10 billion out of the system?
Well, I mean, you give it away anyway. They give away a lot of money.
Your endorsement
I'll
is
tell
the
you
money.
what, speaking about that, Minnesota and these other states, we have massive investigations going into fraud.
Yeah.
Do you know if we captured
They don't want to talk about that.
50% of the fraud of this country
Yeah.
right now, we would have better than a balanced budget. And you got to mention that Minnesota, $19 billion in fraud that we know about.
Your endorsement is the most important thing in the Republican primary.
No,
Will
no,
you
in any primary.
Will you endorse in the 2028 presidential primary?
This guy, man.
I hadn't even thought of it, but probably, yeah. I mean, I'd be inclined to. I have great people. We have a great bench. We have a lot of people. But yeah, I think so.
You've suggested that J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio would be a tough ticket to beat. Who should be at the top of that ticket?
Well, I don't want to get into this. We have 3 years to go. I don't want to, you know, I have two people that are doing a great job. I don't want to have an argument with, I don't want to use the word fight. It wouldn't be a fight. But look, JD is fantastic and Marco is fantastic.
How are they
both
different?
doing a
How are they
great
different?
job. And I do think this. It's a great question. I think that's your most interesting question. Yeah. I would say one is slightly more diplomatic than the other.
Yeah.
I think they're both of very high intelligence. I mean, you know, they will do shows. They will do Joe Rogan as opposed to the opponent not doing it because they couldn't handle it. They will be able to do whatever they have to do. I think there's a difference in style. You know, you can see the style yourself, but they're both very capable. I do think the combination of JD and Marco would be very hard to be beaten, I think. But you never know in politics, right? They say in the age of Trump.
Unless they rig that, honestly, I can't see these guys being beaten. But like how Trump just said, you never know when it comes to politics because they try to take his life. How many times? How many times did they try to take his life? And how many times did they shot at him 2 times? I mean, just come on, man. They shot at him that once, his air, and then they were at his golf course. I mean, just come on, man. You never know when it comes to politics. But if we're talking real talk, we're talking down to the depths of it. No delusion. There is nobody that could beat them. What, they gonna give Kamala another $2 trillion? We'll pay a bunch of rappers. I think people are tired and fed up with that game. You know, stoop me down to the level of you just gonna have some artists and entertainment dance on the stage and sing a rap song to make me come out and vote. I think people are tired and fed up with that game. I honestly don't see that working. Gavin Newsom, I mean, he's a good talker, but once he runs out of hair gel, there's no one left. You know, that guy runs out of hair gel. There's no one left. That guy's a vampire too. Let's keep going, man.
Trump, you never know.
Yeah. On January 21st, 2029, do you see any scenario where you are still president?
I don't know. It would be interesting. But wouldn't it be terrible if I agreed with, you know, if I gave you the answer that you're looking for? It would make life so much less exciting, right? It would be so much less exciting. But I only do this for one reason: make America great again. And that's what we're doing. We're making America great again, greater than ever before. Our country is greater than ever before. We're a rich nation. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from nations that took advantage of us. They thought we were stupid. They thought we were fools. They laughed at us. You know, people were laughing at us 1.5 years ago. They laughed at this country. They're not laughing anymore. They respect us. And I get along with them. They respect us.
Mr. President, I have pages and pages of questions, but they're telling me my time is up. I thank you for your time.
We'll do it again. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you.
Just wow. There's a lot to unpack there, right? He was so pissed that he couldn't trip him up. He couldn't catch him up on anything that's going on right now. Of course, you got the two mess ups in Minnesota, but you know, that's what comes with this. You know, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's something that just stuck with me once I've learned it. Trump has been through so much, you know, and he is still managing and figuring out, doing these interviews and still making stuff right. And one thing, I don't know about you. You can comment below what was your best thing from this interview, but that 1776 that he sent to the American troops, I think that stuck with me because for a long time, the troops, anybody fighting for this country, they've always been like, you know, you sign up for this, go handle it. You know, here's your sign on bonus, here, whatever that is. But they don't get anything random coming from President Trump. You know, my sister was out of work for a little bit, but she was in the Army, National Guard, and they actually sent her money It took a little while to get there, but she got it and they put a smile on her face. And for me to see somebody directly affected by something that Trump is doing, I don't know. I've said it once though. Trump 2028. That's what I said. And I know he probably not gonna get in office, but anybody he's supporting, I know they have what I think should be going on put first. Please, guys, let me know what you think about this quick video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. And as always, let me know what the act 2. We're out.